generation. No more standing out in line. So good at wasting our time. We are the lazy generation. We are the lazy generation. We are the lazy generation now.
Welcome to round 15 of the 2008 GP4 Offline Championship. We are here for the 15th round of the season, the Singapore Grand Prix. There will only be 3 more rounds left, and it's the first time the series will be at the Singapore Grand Prix, so we'll be using the original circuit, so the layout that was used back in 2008 and I think 2009 as well. The news in the paddock is that Red Bull have decided to keep James Willis for 2009, as have Force India keeping Azul Zafri for 2009. And in other news, a number of teams will confirm their drivers in the Chinese Grand Prix, which is the one after Japanese Grand Prix, which is next. So Honda will be Brawn GP in 2009, and also Force India will use Mercedes engines in 2009, which will be interesting because hopefully it should make them a little bit more competitive. Now the Singapore track, not a lot of people necessarily like it. I personally quite like it. I think it's an interesting track, and I personally really like it being at night. Formula One's first ever night race, but after the last round at the Italian Grand Prix, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Nothing's really going to beat the Italian Grand Prix after the qualifying, and with Gal winning the race, Volker coming third. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here at the Singapore Grand Prix. There's bound to be accidents. There is going to be accidents for sure. So obviously there are, well actually I think 23, it says 23 cars on the track, but here is the grid. Will Neller is on pole ahead of Joseph Willis second, so finally a pole for Will Neller after ages. George Ruckins third, Florian Volker continuing his impressive pace by qualifying fourth ahead of Jamie Mackenzie fifth and Felix Sontag down in 6th place. Bruno Junqueira, who's had a difficult last few races, in 7th with Waze Cooper, a decent 8th place for Renault. And as we go further down, in 9th place is Waze Cooper's teammate, that's Roland Moitian, followed by Mikos Gal, who's in 10th. Also, not too bad qualifying from him either. James Willows is in 11th place, followed by his teammate Sam Thompson in 12th, so that is an all Red Bull 6th row, that is. Paige Knight is down in 13th, disappointing qualifying for her, with Jack Boyman in 14th place. Williams, who again have been really far off the pace throughout, I think, half this season, really. Benny Strachan is 15th, followed by D'Alessio, which seems to be his favourite position down there, in 16th place. 17th is Azul Zafri, a decent qualifying from him, followed by Evan Byrne, all the way down in 18th, not particularly good for him. Now, in 19th place is Adam Wolf, with Alex Southgate in 20th, and in 21st and 22nd place is Dmitry Surkov and Viggo Holst. Unusual for Viggo Holst, as he's not usually at the back of the grid, but this weekend he unfortunately is. So now we're going to go and check the weather for the Grand Prix, and no surprise, it is dry, as it has been in every Singapore Grand Prix there has been since 2008 in real life, but no surprise here. In the game it is also dry as well. Dry with a bit of cloud, but I suppose that's at night. And so we are now about to go into the race. And we are here on the starting grid. Will Neller on pole. He'll really want to take advantage of this. And the lights are on now. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And the lights are out and away we go. And I believe Joseph Willis has made a better start as here on board with George Rogan. Willis alongside and Volker's gone past George Rogan into turn 1. Is Willis going to take the lead from Neller? No, he doesn't. And there's a rear wing lost at the back of the field. I'm not sure who. It was somebody at the back. Sontag's in 9th here. Roke's dropped behind Volker. That's not good for him. Neller's kept the lead. Willows is in 2nd. Roke 3rd. Volker 4th. Also at the back. And is that Southgate? Southgate, I think, has been involved. And I believe Byrne. Yeah, Byrne's lost his rear wing. So he's been involved. And I think Southgate is the other driver involved in this. So let's see what happened at the start. So on road with Byrne, as they're all bunching up coming into turn 1 of the Honda. Unfortunately, I don't know if he actually got a touch from the Force India there. I'm not sure. But they lost he lost his rear wing, Southgate lost his front wing, and as we go back to the action, they're going to drop well behind the field. They're going to have to pit, so it's now Willer first. Willow second, Volker third, Broke fourth, Mackenzie fifth, Junquera sixth, Relamordian up to seventh. Good start from him. James Willows eighth, and Kuba in ninth place, followed by, I believe that's Sontag in 10th place. As we're now coming at the first game, George Roach trying to make a move on floor. Volker coming into the chicane. Volker moves over and stops George Roach from getting through. There's not really much overtaking opportunity there at the chicane, which obviously back in 2008 was, and 2008 and 2009 was there, but got taken down, I believe, in 2010, or actually no, it might have been, I think, a couple of years, I'm not quite sure, but anyway, so two cars coming into the right-hander. See, I know they don't know, some of them have corners, because I know the back straight is called Russ Boulevard, I think it's called. Anyway, here we come, going through the order of all the cars, as well as Knight, Cuba 10th on 11th. That is Page Knight in 11th, and Gal's down to 12th, so not a good start for him. Strachan still in 5th place as we're coming down through the bridge, or under the tunnel, I should say. As Wilner is coming around turn 22 and turn 23. And he is going to lead the first lap of the Grand Prix. Here is George Roach, who is right behind Volker. Is he going to have enough of a run to get him into turn 1? I don't believe he does. Will Roach try and make an attempt? No, he doesn't. Volker holds to the inside. And Volker keeps the place. As they're coming now around turn 1 and turn 2. 3, sorry. I believe that was 1, 2, and 3, yeah. And I believe that was Roach trying to make a move on Volker, but he doesn't make it. As here is Kuba, who is right behind his teammate Ralph Moichin. So Kuba's managed to get past James Willows. Is he going to make a move on the straight on Raffs Boulevard? And he comes down under the little bridge there. And surely Kuba's not going to make a move stick. He's on the outside. Tries to make a move on the inside at the end of the straight, but he can't quite do it. And Kuba comes around the right-hander. As we're on board with George Roach, we're on lap 3, and there's a yellow flag out, and that is Viggo Holst who's crashed out, and Surkov, whose car has gone up in smoke. So I don't know what's happened here. There'll something major has happened. Oh, okay, so here we go, we're on board. So it looks like Surkov's got an oil leak, and he slows down, and I don't know if he tries to go into the pits, but he turns right across into the front of Viggo Holst, who unfortunately gets taken out. That was a bit of a silly mistake there by Surkov, who really should have, we had a problem, as there his car now starts to go up in flames, who really should have moved over a lot sooner, and unfortunately, Viggo Holst has been taken out of this race because of that. There goes Azul Zafri behind him, as there goes Viggo Holst into the outside wall round the final corner. That's unfortunate there for Holst, just unfortunate timing and a pretty stupid mistake on Surkov's part there, and that has taken both the two drivers out of the race. Here's another, obviously one more replay on board with Surkov. You can see he tries to go into the pits. He was already a bit late. He would have gone and had to go over the curb, and he just takes out Viggo Holst. So Surkov, who already had a problem, he had an oil leak, and now he is now fully taken himself out with a crash. He loses his front wing and both his front tyres. So you see again the view from Viggo Holst's camera, so unfortunately gets taken out, can't do anything about it, loses rear wheel, doesn't have control of the car, and loses his front right wheel as well. So that was an unfortunate, well, that was a bad mistake by Surkov, but so we are back. So Surkov, as you can see, is out the race, and Holst is out the race as well. So we're on board with, I believe this is Volker, so he's coming down the final corner. He goes a bit wide onto the curbs, and George Roach is going to be right behind him, and Volker moves across, he pushes him out. Is Roach going to make the move stick? And no, he doesn't. Doesn't make the move stick, which is going to bring Mackenzie and Junquera into the equation. As Roach is now right behind Volker, as we're about to come on to Russ Boulevard, onto the back straight. This is going to be Roach's best opportunity to overtake around this track. He's going to go on the inside, on the inside for the short right-hander, but now he's going to be on the wrong side for the next turn, so he's not going to be able to make the move stick. We come around and Volker holds third place. He's doing a very good job, and oh, there's been a big crash at the front straight. Sondag's been involved. He's lost his rear wheel. Going to go past, I believe that's Moichin's involved, and Kuva. They're both out of the race. It's been a big accident around the final round on the pit straight. And oh, and there's the Force India of Azul Zafri, who's now lost his front wing and rear wheel. So we're on board with Kuva, who's still stuck behind Moichin. And what happens here coming into turn 1? Oh, it looks like Moichin goes a bit wide. It doesn't realise Kuva's there, and hits his own teammate. That is going to cause massive tension between the two drivers. Moichin, who's not had luck at all this season, and now, unfortunately, he's going to be on the end of a rather scathing review of that move by Kuba. As you can see, Sontag actually hits Kuba's car and drags him all the way down the front straight just to the finish line, but doesn't get any damage there somehow. There's the Red Bull of, I believe it's Willows, and the Williams of, I think, Jack Boyman, no, Strachan it was, Thompson, and as there is Sonntag, who's the one who hits Relev Moichin's car, so we're on board with Moichin. See on board as he comes around the final two turns, he goes a bit wide, and he doesn't obviously know that Kuba's there, and just takes him out. A very silly mistake there, I have to say, by Relev Moichin. As you can see, his car gets dragged all the way down to the start to the finish line. Not quite over it yet. And you can see there's Sonntag, who got stuck behind and then loses his rear wheel, and that is him out of the race. Quite an unfortunate mistake there, as there is Kuba's car, obviously being dragged down the straight. That's going for another on board. So you can see it was just a bit of a silly mistake there by Moichin. As there is Kuba's car, just going down this straightaway. The crowd, right in front of the crowd will be happy to see some incidents, because obviously there is always incidents in the Singapore Grand Prix. So there go the Williams and the Hondas, the two Williams, Strachan and Boyman. So there goes the Super Aguri as well, just avoiding the wheel. And then this is the bit where obviously Zafri hits the wheel as we're on board. We're going to go back and see what happened here. So he avoids the first two cars, but unfortunately the wheel goes into his path. Doesn't exactly steer out of it though, Zafri, and unfortunately that is going to be him out of this race as well. An unfortunate mistake there by Zafri. Well, not really his mistake, just didn't quite manage to avoid the sorry about that, the wheel in time. As we you see on board once again, just Kuba gets around Sonntag and Moichin, and then loses his front wheel and his wing, and that is taking him out of the race. So an unfortunate there from Zafri, who stops just at the edge of turn 1. Here come all the marshals to get rid of all the cars. As there comes Byrne, and that's the Honda who has hit the back of Kuba's car there. That was who was that? Southgate, I believe it was. And I don't know if Evan Byrne hit anything. I don't think he did. But as you can see, Kuba loses his rear wing as he continues to roll down the track. So I imagine the leaders will probably be coming up to him pretty soon as he crawls down and stops just at the pit exit as there goes Moichin's car pushed off the track. The yellow flags continue to wave for Kuba's stricken car. As you can see on the minimap, the cars are now about to come through the final two corners. So the marshal now manages to push him away just as the cars come through. As there comes Nella, there goes Willows, and there goes, I believe, Roku, who's actually got past Volker. And yes, he has. He's right onto the back of Joseph Willows. George Roke is on a mission here. He's got much better speed round final corner, and George Roke takes Willows, and it takes second place in the Grand Prix. So Roke has suddenly picked up pace all of a sudden. He's got past Volker, and that has let him go. So only if Volker didn't hold him up for those first few laps, Roke might have probably been able to pass these guys by now. But anyway, Roke is past Williams, and now he's right onto the back of Will. No, Roke is on a charge right now. As we go on board, we go on board with him coming around the final corner. George Roke's got on a fantastic slipstream and a great run. As he comes over the finish line, he sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:35.3, and George Roke takes the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix. So Roke, getting past Volker, freed him up, pretty much released him, and got him up to pace, and now he is taking the lead of the Grand Prix. Can he go and win it now for the first time in, I think since, I believe it was Germany, so about 5 rounds ago, as Roke now does actually come into the pits just after taking the lead. So obviously a slightly different strategy to to everyone else, but let's see how it goes. So he comes into the pit. Let's see what the stop is going to be. How long the stop's going to be exactly, I should say. He's in the pits and he does a 12.5 second stop. So obviously they fueled him for a long run. Obviously they can't have fueled him for the end because there's no way Roke can get through on the side unless he does like a Alonso or a Perez. But there's no chance of that happening. As this is, I believe, McKenzie who's trying to get no, it's Roke, sorry, trying to get past Miklos Gal. We dropped down the order down to 12th at the original start, and had a quiet race since. Obviously moved up a few places because of that incident. The series at Bruno Junqueira in on lap 22, so obviously not much has happened in these last 10 laps or so. But Junqueira comes out, does a 14.5, so it's another quite a long stop, so he's going to try and go quite long on these tyres and on this fuel. And Junqueira now comes out of the pits, so he's going to come out just inside, just in the top 10, in 10th place. And he does indeed so, as we're on board with James Willows, who is, he's got a problem, he's got, I think, a suspension problem, and he's managed to just about get his car to the pits just before his car breaks down, so great timing there from James Willows. Quite lucky that he managed to get to the pits, and his car obviously had this problem. He makes his way into the pits now. Let's go back and see what happened. So he was just before coming around the final couple of corners through the chicane, and he's about to come around the final 2 turns. And just as he comes around the second and final the penultimate corner, he solves the suspension failure and pulls into the pits just in time. And manages to get in the pits. So very quick thinking there from James Willows, which manages to save him in this Grand Prix. So well done to him for doing that, and so that means he'll still be in the race and hopefully be in a chance of some points. So again, quite a lucky escape there for Willows, but these things, I suppose these lucky escapes can happen. So Willows will drop down the order a bit. Probably guess this is around about this time that he was going to make his stop anyway, but not like this. As Will Neller now comes into the pits on lap 28, so he's gone quite a long way. He's gone to almost halfway, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it to the end or not. We will see. So he does an 11-second stop. I don't think he's going to come out ahead of George Roke unless George Roke got held up in traffic, and no, he doesn't. Roke stays out in front, so goes up into 4th place, and technically the leader of the, but he's currently in 4th as some of the other drivers have yet to pit. So Miller comes out in 5th place. Behind George Roke as Adam Wolf comes into the pits on lap 31, now at the halfway point of this Grand Prix. So there have been incidents, and apart from that, not too much else has happened. But at least there have been some crashes, which obviously are doing, which is probably what the fans want and what usually happens at a Singapore Grand Prix. As we're on board with Volker, and Volker's gone into the wall. Florian Volker, who's running in P2, he was having such a good race. Florian Volker has crashed into the wall just before going under the stadium, and that is very unfortunate for Florian Volker. He was playing such a good race, and unfortunately he has crashed out the Grand Prix. So he was behind Joseph Willis as he comes around the curve. He goes a bit too much on the curve. He goes a bit wide, gets a bit of understeer, and goes into the wall. And that is him out of the Grand Prix. There's Mackenzie just behind him, who does actually hit his wheel and does lose a part of his front wing. He loses a part of his front wing, and that is not good for Mackenzie. And so now he's going to have to make a pit stop for that. He comes around the final few corners. As you can see, that there is Volker, his car there, and there's George Roke that goes past. So as we look at this from another camera, going around the 2 corners, he gets a bit on the curb and gets a bit wide, and then goes into the wall. And there's Mackenzie losing his front wing. Just unfortunate timing there. And so that means Mackenzie's going to get second, Roke's up to third. Mackenzie's now going to have to go into pits to make a pit stop, which he does indeed. So Mackenzie makes his way into the pits. And Joseph Willows, the leader, also makes his way into the pits as well. Oh no, Roke's in the pits. So Roke has gone in the pits as well. So Roke was going to pit when Mackenzie was out on the track. Obviously Mackenzie wasn't intending to pit because of that front wing change. And this is going to cost George Roke dearly. It's surely going to cost him the lead. And how much else is it going to cost him? Is he going to have to wait for his other pit crew to come? Oh my goodness me. That is very, very unfortunate there for George Roke, and that might have cost him the chance of winning this Grand Prix. But that was again sadly unfortunate for Jay Mackenzie that he had to pit for that, as now the pit crew do come out for George Roke, and they now make the change, and George Roke is going to be, I suppose, not necessarily fuming, but I don't know why actually they gave him a front wing though. I don't believe George Roke had any damage, but anyway, so he unfortunately does a 25.6 second stop, and now Gal has come out in front of him, so is Bruno Junqueira. This has not worked out at all well for George Roke, as there's on board with Strachan, who's right behind actually Felix Sontag for third place. So he's going to make the lead. So Will Neller now has a clear lead at the front. Roke comes out in P10. He's going to have a lot of ground to make up. And into the hits now comes Sam Thompson. It goes pretty well, as here is George Roke in P8, who overtakes, this is Sam Thompson for 7th place, so George Roke trying to recover at the moment. And Jack Boyman in P11. Making his stop, so Boyman again himself had a quiet race. And now into the pits as well comes Finlay Strachan. So let's see how quick this stop will be. And it's a 12.8 second stop, so that's good stop from Strachan, as Junqueira is going to come out in front of him, I believe. And yes, he does. So Strachan's going to come out in P5 as George Roke goes past Miklos Gal and past Strachan. So crucial there for George Roke getting past Gal and Strachan. Otherwise, that probably would have, I suppose, summed up his race in a nutshell, really. As Nella is about to come out the pits with a 10.3 second stop, so he won't be pinning again. So and this is Joseph Willis going past. So Willis is going to go past, and so is McKenzie. So it's not worked out for Will Neller, as Bruno Junqueira has crashed. Bruno Junqueira has now crashed out of the race on lap 46. And it's at the same spot where Florian Volker did it. So let's see what happened to him. So you can see he's coming through the Sintel signs, and he comes through and he does the same thing. He already goes a bit wide into the first cut, then he goes over the curb again, which unsettles the car and then forces him to go into the wall. So Junqueira, who is running in P5, and James Willers hits his front wing, I believe, so he hits his wheel, sorry, so I believe he loses his front wing, so he's going to sadly have to make a pit stop. Very unfortunate luck there for James Willers, and Strachan's crashed as well. Oh, Finlay Strachan, who was doing so well at, well, he was doing really well, running in P6 after the stop. He was right behind Gal. He gets on the curves again and then gets into the wall. A very unfortunate mistake there from Finlay Strachan. As there's James Willis, who just avoids the wheels, but he's already lost his wing, so it would have been damage limitation for him if he lost the rest of it. But Strachan now out the race on lap 46, so with only 15 laps to go. Here is George Roke, who's in the pits for his next stop. And his final stop of the race. It could have been so much better for George Roke, but it was just unfortunate luck, which means he'll only get a points finish today, and most likely not podium unless all the guys in front of him have problems. But I don't imagine that will happen. As we're on board with, I believe, is this Jay McKenzie? I believe it is, and he's trying to go past Joseph Willis for the lead. So this is a battle for the lead with 5 laps to go, and McKenzie tries to move but can't quite make it stick. On Joseph Willis, and Will Nell's right behind as well. So this is going to be a great battle. And oh, Sam Thompson has got a problem. He's got, I think that's an engine problem, I believe. I'm not sure. Or an electronics issue, I'm not sure. But we're here on lap 58. Mackenzie is right behind Joseph Willis, and they've got a slower Toyota in front of them. And Joseph Willis does really well to defend from Mackenzie coming into turn 1. As so we've only got 3 laps to go. We've only got 3 more laps to go after this, and so this is going to be a fantastic battle for the win. So who is going to win this? So they've got the Toyota there, I believe it. I'm not sure who it is of. I don't know if it's Paige Knight or if it's Evan Byrne. But Mackenzie tries to make a move coming down the end of the back straight, and James Willis once again blocks. So you can see the orders. And there's down third. Gal has got up to 4th place. A great recovery from what was a pitiful start. As James Willis has still managed to defend from Jay McKenzie, as we're about to come on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. as we come around the final corner. And I don't know if they've actually lapped that Toyota or not, but it doesn't matter anyway. This is what matters, the battle for the lead. We're on the final lap. The Toyota is still in front of him. It's of either Page Knight or Evan Byrne. I'm not sure which one has been lapped yet, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Josie Willows coming down onto the back straight, and Mackenzie's right behind him. Who is going to make the move stick coming into turn one? Coming down the back straight, and Josie Willis once again defends. It's one of the only overtaking opportunities on this track, and Josie Willis has defended once again. So Mackenzie doesn't really have that many chances before the end to overtake him. They're about to come into the Singapore Sling, I believe the chicane's called, and he does. And Willis already defends as well to the inside as they come through the bouncy curves. So Willis still overtakes him. Mackenzie could try and overtake him to the hairpin, but he's not close enough. He's not quite brave enough. And so he's not going to be able to make that move stick. So Mackenzie, unless he's close enough, could have an opportunity at the end of the straight, but he's not quite close enough, I believe, and no, he's not. So Willis has got all the opportunities covered, and there's not really many other chances. I don't think there is any other chances to overtake before the end. So Joseph Willis has essentially got this in the bag, unless he makes a mistake, which could easily happen. But Joseph Willis is about to come under the stadium here, quite a nice feature on this track. And Mackenzie is right behind Willis as they come around the the final chicane, and they're about to come through the final two corners. Is Joseph Willis going to hold on? He could easily make a mistake here, but he doesn't, and Joseph Willis is going to win the Singapore Grand Prix, holding off Mackenzie and Nella. Joseph Willis wins, a fantastic end to the race, and Nella, who thought he'd taken the win after George Roke's mishap in the pit, but unfortunately only gets P3. As Page Knight comes home in 9th, so it was actually Evan Byrne who's in 8th place. He's recovered well from that, from the first lap incident. As Boyman comes in 11th place, so 10th. Anna Wolf's going to come home in 13th place. Gal is going to come in 4th. A great recovery drive from him, who obviously would drop down to 12th after the start and only started 10th. So a fantastic drive from him, following on from his strong Monza performance, I should say. As he's about to come round the final corner. And he does so, and he comes home in P4, a great result for him and for the Toro Rosso team, which really helps them in the Constructors' Championship, as George Roke is going to come home in a disappointing P5. He would have definitely hoped for more in this Grand Prix today, but unfortunately, that's not what he gets, and he'll come home P5, so he'll come home P6. It'll be James Willows, despite all the issues he had with having to change his front wing and everything, and the suspension failure he had, still comes home in a respectable P6, so well done to him. He comes home in P6, and I believe that means Sam Thompson is in 7th, and yes he is, Sam Thompson is in 7th place, and he comes across the line in P7, so that means Evan Byrne is going to come home in P8, and here comes Evan Byrne, who's recovered really well from that first lap incident where he lost his rear wing, and that means he's going to take the final points place, and obviously Page Knight is P9 has already come across the line. So we are now about to see the race results, as there is Joseph Willis, a very happy man, keeps his championship hopes alive. Here are the results. Joseph Willis wins ahead of Jay Mackenzie 2nd, Wilner 3rd, Michael Scarling 4th, George Roke 5th, James Willis 6th, Sam Thompson 7th, Evan Byrne taking the last points with 9th, Delazio, Boyman, Southgate and Wolf a lap down, except Adam Wolf's obviously 2 laps down, with the retirements being Finley Strachan, Junqueira, Volker, Zafri, Kuba, Moitin, Sontag, Holst and Dmitry Surkov. As we come to the driver's best laps, so George Roke actually set the fastest lap of the race at 1:35.186, which I believe was quite earlier on. Thompson 2nd in Red Bull, Nella 3rd, James Willis 4th, Mackenzie 5th, Volker 6th, Willis 7th, Strachan 8th, Galnight, Page Knight 10th, Byrne 11th, Junqueira 12th, Southgate, Bloom, Delazio, Kuba, Moitin, Sontag, Wolf, Zafri, Surkov, and of course Viggo Holst. Last point. So now we are seeing the driver standings. So Will Miller is still 20 points behind Joseph Willis in the point standings. So he needs to win 2 races to try and at least catch up and, or I suppose, match Willis' points total. But he's still got to hope that Willis doesn't score any points. But I'm not sure that's quite going to happen. So he leads with 20 points. Sontag's in 3rd with the battle for 3rd place really heating up in the championship. So with Roke only 4 points behind him, with Jay Mackenzie now on the same points as Roke. If we'll play, so that could be interesting. Renner Junqueira is in 6th, Thompson 7th, Volker 8th, Willows 9th, Marder 10th, Byrne 11th, Page Knight 12th, Gal 13th, Kuba 14th, with Boyman, Moitin, Strachan, Delasio, Kara, Southgate, Holst, Wolf, Zafri and Surkov, who have all now scored points in the Grand Prix. As in the constructors' standings, McLaren still lead by just 5 points ahead of Ferrari, with BMW a distant third on their own, with Toyota, Red Bull, Toro Rosso very close there, dealing for 4th place in the constructors, Renault 7th, Williams 8th, Honda 9th, Force India 10th, and Subaru 11th. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the Singapore Grand Prix. A fairly exciting race, I should say, but anyway, we will see you for the next round of the race, which is at the Fuji Super Speedway in Japan. Goodbye.